Hey everyone, Dennis Kay here with Belize Islands Real Estate. Hope everyone is doing well today. Today I want to tell you about a couple properties on the northeast side of Ambergris Caye that have recently had a significant price drop, and the seller is still willing to offer their 10 10 30 or 10 10 10 program on these. So if you're interested in buying a nice sized property on North Ambergris Caye with road access, with power in the area, then definitely check out these three properties. One of them just might work for you. So this is the aerial view that is looking from north to south. So this is the east coast here of Ambergris Caye. The reef is out here. It was a very, very calm day when this drone took these shots, but you can barely make out the reef line right here. That's where all the snorkeling, diving, fishing takes place. And the road, this road here that you see, starting from the lower portion of your screen going south, that leads all the way to San Pedro Town. San Pedro Town's about 9.5 miles from these properties. There is another good aerial view of them. So you can see that the two properties are here and here. There are two side-by-side lots. This is the old Brightwaters place. This was actually started, I think, around 2006, 2007, and it was affected by the 2008 crash. So unfortunately, it never got finished. But rumor has it the developers who are doing another project in town, after they finish that one, plan to come up and finish this one to get open. So that'll be a nice little boost for the area. And then what you do see is random homes, smaller resorts in this area, and going up further north and south, you have some beach bars along the coast. You have some smaller local grocery stores that have opened up, and this is the area that I target as being in the path of progress. Now, here are the two lots that there's been a major price drop on. So it's this one here, which is 80 feet by 220. And then this one here next to it, which is 80 feet by 205. And the price on these was 54,900. The seller has agreed to drop that by $5,000 per lot. So now he's asking only 49.9, and he will do a 10-10-30 program, which means you could put 10% down, interest rate is 10%, and you can have an amortization schedule as if you're taking 30 years to pay, but he wants a 5-year balloon payment. So at the end of 5 years, he wants to take his money in full and go off and make some other investments. So it's a 10-10-30 or a 10-10-10 with a 5-year balloon payment. So what does that mean? It means that you put about $5,000 down and your payments are roughly $434 a month. And then you just pay off the property anytime. So there's no prepayment penalties. It's just a reducing balance loan. Here is some more information on the lot. So it's these two right here that the major price drop has been given on. So again, these two are now 49.9. And we also still have this one available here, which is a little bit bigger. This is 115 feet wide by 226 feet deep. That one is still at the 54.9 price. Why? Well, obviously it's much larger. And just so you know, all of these properties here are on this main road, so that the properties do have road access. They do have electric in the area, but this is the main road now leading north. And this puts these properties in a great location. They have a combination residential or commercial endeavor. So if you're looking to open up a business that would benefit from being on the main road, then these are certainly some great lots to look at. Yeah, so there it is down there. These are the two that was reduced by $5,000 per lot. Now to answer some questions. So some questions that have come in over the past 24 hours by people looking to buy these three lots. So I'm going to answer them here. First of all, the question is, Dennis, can you show me exactly where these properties are using your Google Map overlay? And I would do that now. So this is Ambergris Caye. San Pedro Town is down here. So when you fly in, here's the airstrip. Get off Tropic Air, My Island Air, and you end up right in San Pedro Town. And then if you rent your golf cart and driving north, you drive over the bridge, up through the Tres Cocos neighborhood, and you pass nice resorts, big resorts such as Akbol, Grand Caribe, Las Terrazas, Cocoa Beach, all those major resorts are in this area. And then you hit the Secret Beach turnoff road. So there's a road here that goes from this northern road over to Secret Beach, and it accesses subdivisions such as Mine Estates, Grand Belizean Estates, Secret Beach, Amherst Bay, all of that. But instead of turning left, if you continue to go straight up the coast, what you're going to reach then are also some very nice resorts, such as Indigo. You have Mata Chica Resort, you have La Perla del Caribe, you have Extanha, you have Portofinos, all of those. You come to the Cape subdivision, go through the Cape subdivision. There's where Extanha is located. You have Two Toes, which is a great resort, small resort, but a great place to stay. And then you'll come up and you'll be passing on your to your left will be this new government issued subdivision. So that's to me what makes this area pretty exciting is when you see how big this is, it's really going to be a new town up on this north side here to sort of anchor this north part of the island. The land depth here is pretty good before you hit the lagoon. So you see these several hundred lots here have all been subdivided and now they have been allocated to local Belizeans. So I think we're going to see some homes and businesses and things start to spring up here in the next few years. And then just as you pass through that, you come to this subdivision right here. You notice the lots in here are all much larger than you would have in other typical subdivisions. And so here's the two lots that have been reduced, numbers 9599 and numbers 9596. And the other property here is number 9566. That one's still at the 54.9 price. Now, if we just do a measurement so you can see exactly how far that is from town. Okay, let me just zoom out just a bit more here. All right, so there's San Pedro. So if we just draw a line from those lots all the way down to San Pedro town, you're looking at 9.63 miles. All right, that's to get all the way into town. Now the question is, would you go into town that often? Well, probably not, because if you want to go out to eat or for breakfast or lunch or whatever, you've got literally 20 or 30 restaurants or resorts that you'll pass on the way in, and you just eat up in this area, right? Also, all the tour companies pick up from these resorts. So, for example, if you want to go snorkeling, diving, fishing, do some kind of tour, the boats pick you up right in front of all these resorts. So you don't go all the way to San Pedro town for that. Also, if you want groceries, just go to one of the local grocery stores that was open up in this general area here, or come down to the Mata Grande grocery store in this area here. Now, I had another question. How close are these lots to where the new Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville place is going in? Well, that is going in right here. And so if we do a line from Margaritaville down to those lots, you're looking at 3.38 miles further to the north. All right, so put you in a great area. And let's see, what were some of the other questions that have come in? Oh, property taxes. What are property taxes on these types of properties? Your property taxes are less than 100 US dollars per year for a lot in its vacant state. And with a home on it, you're looking at probably around 250 to 275 US per year for your property taxes. Like I said, the area does have access to electricity. Water will be by rainwater cistern or well with a reverse osmosis system. And just so you know, every single resort, home, complex, apartment building, everything, every business up on this north side does not have access to city water. And they get water through rainwater catchment systems or wells or RO systems or something like that. So the local builders on island are very familiar with how to build in these areas. So another question I had come in was, if I buy this property with financing, how does that work and how am I protected? So that's a good question. So in Belize, we have a very simple 4-page document that you sign with the seller. And basically, let me just kind of walk you through this. You have your information as the buyer, the seller's information. You have the parcel number, the legal description of the property. You have the total purchase price. And then after the purchase price, you have your earnest money deposit, which is 10%. So you put down 10% with contract. That 10% gets held in escrow as the closing company does their work. So if you use someone like Alberto at Belize Caye Investments, he'll do the title search, he'll draft the transfer of land forms, he'll make sure there's no liens or encumbrances or anything something going on with the title that would make it non-transferable. He will collect all the due diligence from you and the sellers, so that at the end of, say, 45, 60 days, you'll be ready to go to close. Now, what does close mean? Well, closing in Belize takes place virtually. There are no sit-down in-person closings. So at closing, Alberto and his team will review all the paperwork. If everything looks legit, the earnest money's in escrow, the closing costs have been paid, then you consider the deal closed. That all gets then registered at the lands department, and then you just make your payments directly to the seller. At payoff, the title will change hands. So how are you protected as the buyer? Well, easily, your purchase has gone through either a lawyer or a closing company. On Ambergris Caye, I use Alberto at Belize Key Investments for probably 99.9% of all my closings. Other major real estate companies use them as well. They're fast, they're reliable, they know their stuff. They've been in business 18 years. I have a high degree of confidence in them. Now, if you as a buyer, because this question came in, if you as a buyer stop making payments, let's say you've lost your job and you just physically are not able to make payments anymore, what happens? Well, first of all, is we look at trying to resell the property for you. So for example, if you pay 49.5 for this property, you put your 10% down, and let's say a year from now, all of a sudden you get yourself in some financial trouble, what can you do? Well, come to me and I would try to sell the property for more than you paid for it. So at least you can get back your 10% earnest money, and then at least you can become even, right? So you might not lose any money, you might not make any money, but at least you're even on the deal. If that can't happen, when I say can't happen, if it doesn't happen and you just have to default walk away, you do lose your down payment and monthly payments. But I tell you, over the 15 years, 16 years that I've been doing this in Belize, I've personally owned dozens of mortgages. And over the 15, 18 years, there's really been only 2 or 3 people that have defaulted on their purchase. Usually we find a way to work around some of the temporary financial issues they have. For example, right now, on one of my mortgages, I have a buyer making half payments until he can get back on his feet after COVID-19. I don't mind doing that. He's been a good client. Why would I want to lose him? I want to help him to maintain the property, to eventually get caught up and keep his mortgage, keep the property. For some, the financial hit is so big that they just have to walk away, right? So if they walk away, what happens then? The good thing about this is if you default a property in Belize, it doesn't affect your credit rating in the US or Canada. So sure, you might have lost a bit of money and maybe some pride, but you get to start fresh, all right? So you don't have that pressure of that payment anymore. You didn't have to file bankruptcy to get rid of it, and it doesn't affect your credit rating. So it doesn't appear on any credit scores you have. So it's really the best of both worlds, right? So that was another question I had come in. How is the seller protected? Well, the seller is protected in that the title doesn't change hands until you, the buyer, pay off the property in full. So the seller still has his name or his company name on the title. That title, for the protection of both parties, is held in escrow, either at the office of the lawyers or in the Belize Key Investments office. Now, why do we usually recommend that? Well, let's say you do have a seller who keeps their physical title at home and they lose it, or it gets damaged, or something happens to it. Now you, as the buyer, pay off the seller, and the seller is supposed to relinquish his original title. And if he doesn't have it, it can be a lengthy process to apply for a new title. So we always say, look, for the benefit of both parties, take the original title, put it in escrow, and that way both parties are protected. Some other questions I had coming up is this area, do you feel this area is in the path of progress? Absolutely, because when you look at San Pedro town, and some of you guys might have seen this on the news lately, that San Pedro has issued a moratorium on the import of golf carts and larger vehicles. This mainly applies to the rental companies because they feel that San Pedro town is just too congested. It can't handle any more traffic. Well, that might be so, but you know what? Not everybody who comes to Ambergris Caye stays in San Pedro town. In fact, most don't. They stay south of town, they stay north of town, and those areas are definitely not over congested with golf carts, right? So I do feel that the progress is either going of one of 2 directions. It's either going over towards Secret Beach, where there is opportunities for development and space, or it's going north into areas like this. And the last question I'm going to answer, because Josh posed this question, he said, if it were my job to talk a person out of buying one of these three lots, what would I tell them is the reasons why they should not buy? All right, I'm going to answer this honestly. Let's go back to the Google Earth overlay, and we'll go into this area. So first of all, the properties are 9.5 miles north of town. Is that necessarily a bad thing? Well, if you're a person who just loves to go to San Pedro town every day, and that's where you want to go meet your friends and hang out and do your thing, then this road going north, you should know that if we've had a lot of rain, 9.5 miles is a long ways to go by just a golf cart, with just a golf cart. All right. The suspension on these golf carts is fairly good, but it can be a long ride up by golf cart if you're going to go all the way into town. What I would suggest is that if you're going to go into town, just take a water taxi. Water taxis run up and down this coast all day long. So get the schedule, jump on a water taxi, head into town, do your stuff, and come back. But one of the negatives right now is the condition of this northern road. And although part of it has been paved, right? So when you go to the island, you'll see that some of this road has been paved, some of it has been improved, but if we get a lot of rain and the graders aren't able to get up there and grade the road, then it can be a really bumpy ride. What are some other negatives? Some other negatives are this. When you look at Google Earth, you see that there are areas in front of the island that are just pristine in their colors, right? So the watercolor, for example, in this area, just absolutely pristine, beautiful. This is where the Exton Ha Resort is, where the Kate subdivision is. Um, when you get into some areas, like this area in this general area here, you see that the water is very shallow as it reaches the shore. So in this area, especially around this tip, if I zoom in, you are going to see that right near the shore, the water looks like a brown color, like sepia tones. All right. So you can even see this on Google Earth. So you see this area basically starts about here, and you have this area in here. Now, the reason for that dark color is because some of the color of the foliage is seeping into the water, and it's just very, very shallow there. So what you have, because it's so shallow, is sometimes the sargassum grass that washes up, just a naturally occurring thing. If it washes up onto these beaches, all right, because the water is so shallow and it's not raked in this area, you can see that the beaches have this brownish sepia tone. All right. Is that a negative? Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, if I'm going to be on a beach, I sort of want some nicer waters to swim in. So what would a person do if they owned these properties and they wanted to go to a nice swimming beach? Well, what I would do is I would probably just go a little bit south, right? I would go south to the um, probably right around here. You see, all this is big, beautiful water. So let's see how far that is. I will go down to Ekshtanha, buy a drink at their bar and restaurant, and hang out their beach for a while. And so from there down to Ekshtanha is 2.5 miles. So that's what I would do. And I'm sure there's other beautiful beaches along this coast, but that's what I would do to go hang out at the beach for a while. If I lived up there or had guests who are staying in my Airbnb up there. Also, if you just go a little bit further north, you're going to hit these areas up in here, Punta Azul, some of these different areas. They have absolutely pristine, stunning areas. Basically, just find an area to go hang out at. And you can see there's a lot of bright blue water, great places to swim and to hang out at the beach. So that's that's a little advice that I would give. All right, guys, well, those are the deals that I want to tell you about today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. I do want to move these three properties. The sellers have asked me to please promote them, market them, and so that's what I'm doing today. So if this looks good to you, if you want one, two, or all three of these properties, let me know, and we'll get them written up, and you'll be into your slice of paradise in Ambergris Caye. All right, thanks a lot. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.